Hey there, welcome to School of Emo, the podcast where we dive into the world of emo, pop punk, and everything in between. If you've ever found yourself in your car screaming the lyrics to Taking Back Sunday, wearing way too much eyeliner in the early 2000s, adding a buckle or a chain to every outfit you've put on, you are in the right place. I'm Erin Judge, and each week I will be your fellow student, guiding you through the music, the culture, and the history that shaped an entire generation of angsty teens. I am not the teacher of this school. I am a fellow student, here to learn alongside you and from you. Together, we will cover a lot of information that doesn't really matter, but will remind us of the days of stalking MySpace channels and getting lost in chat rooms. So connect your dial-up, turn on your webcam, and let's go to School of Emo. Welcome back to School of Emo. You're in my office today. Once again, you've been here before, but I want to go upstairs because I am tired. And the reason why I'm so tired started with Sunday night, which was Dashboard Confessional opening for the Goo Goo Dolls tour. I saw the show here in Nashville, so July 20th, Nashville, Ascend Amphitheater, and wanted to recap it for you guys. But before we get into this show, I want to compare it to my favorite Dashboard show that I've been to, which was, I think I shared it during the Dashboard episode. I can't remember the exact year. I think it was it's either 2016 or maybe 2017, 2018. I don't remember. My husband and I went together. So it was either late 2016 or maybe early 2017. And Dashboard was the headliner at the same venue, Ascend Amphitheater, which is an outdoor venue here in Nashville. It's downtown. Beautiful venue if you've never been. Pretty easy to get around, decent bathrooms, lots of stalls, not a lot of time to wait. They have, I think you can bring in soft water bottles. You can also buy water. And then they have refill stations where you can refill your water, which is a nice bonus. The setup is great. They have a huge lawn. They have decent screens. I wish they were a little bit bigger if you're at the back of the lawn, but decent sound, especially for an outdoor venue. I've been to many, and it's one of my favorites that I've been to. I think prices are also fairly good most of the time, which is nice. And the view is great because it's right off of downtown. So you can see some of the iconic Nashville buildings, like the Batman building. You can see sort of the skyline behind the venue. So if you're getting a video or whatever, it's great. Also at night, the sunset is kind of right behind that. So it can be a really beautiful space if the timing is right and the night is right. If it rains, it's not necessarily the best, but it's overall great. And at the lawn, you can bring, I don't think you can bring your own chairs, but you can bring in blankets, all that stuff. They're really generous with everything that they allow. And then you can rent chairs. It's a little pricey. You could just buy like in a seated section for the same price. But we ended up doing that this time. My first show that I went to for Dashboard, where they were the headliner, I was in not like a VIP area, but kind of their version of suites, which is right behind the like seated area before the walkway that then goes into the lawn. So great space. You get your own table. And my husband was working in the music industry at the time. And so we were able to get tickets because of that. And we did not have a lot of money. And so it felt really, really special to be able to be there and be in that space. And the show itself was so good. I can't remember who opened, but what I remember is that throughout all of Dashboard's set, people were like screaming, singing the lyrics. Like it felt almost more like we were at a festival, which was really fun because everyone was into it. Like we were into it. I knew a decent amount of the songs, but didn't know all the lyrics. I didn't necessarily grow up with Dashboard as much that I covered in that episode. I'm a little bit later behind his like rise. So I didn't know everything that the people that were there did. And it was just really fun and such a special environment to be in. And so fast forward to last year, 2024, we also sold Dashboard at when we were young. And the set was great, very similar. Everyone's singing all the songs. We didn't stay for all of it because we'd seen them before and we were trying to make some other sets. But they were one that I think that they did a lot more from like the MTV Unplugged, like first album, Swiss Army Romance, but they didn't have to just do one album compared to everyone else. They were able to do like hits from other albums. And so their biggest songs. So again, it was like a well curated set list of like their big songs. And again, most people knew the lyrics and all the words and everything. So both of those sets were incredible. This experience was a little bit different because it felt very much like an opener, and they were the first opener. So there was no other opener. It was just them leading into Goo Goo Dolls. And the set itself was about an hour, which was amazing. I think any shorter, it would have just felt way too little. Like it already did. I would have preferred those swapped, even though Goo Goo Dolls were amazing. I'm not really going to cover their set quite as much. They're definitely not emo or pop punk or alternative rock, I guess. But their set was a great. If you see the tour coming your way, definitely worth it. Like both bands did amazing. Great for an outdoor venue. Like the weather was nice. My sister and I went together. I was originally going to go with a friend. She had to cancel. And so I was able to take my sister who really liked Goo Goo Dolls. So we saw Dashboard for me, Goo Goo Dolls for her. And it was really fun. The weather got cooler, which is such a treat here in Nashville right now in the summer. And we just sat there, had the best time, like set for most of it. Most people were kind of seated for most of it for both sets. So it was a really relaxing and chill, which Dashboard feeds into. I think what was missing during the Dashboard set was as much of the energy that we get from more of an emo pop punk crowd and more of his fan base. So it definitely felt more like a Goo Goo Dolls fan base than a Dashboard fan base. And it might be because of where we were seated. Like when you're in the lawn, you're very far removed from like the pit area and the seated area. And so there's probably a lot that we missed out on in terms of like other people experiencing the music. But in our section, there were a few people who were kind of into it, a lot of people who were just quiet, relaxing, having a good time. The people behind me, one of my biggest pet peeves, like talked, had like a full conversation the whole time. I don't know why. They also sat very close to us and kind of seemed frustrated that we were there, even though we were seated there first. But that part, concert etiquette is what it is. But they talked during the Goo Goo Doll set too. So it's like, oh, maybe there's not Dashboard fans, but no, they talked the whole thing. So I think they were just there to hang out more than be in the music. And I prefer shows where I'm like in the music, which is why I tend to stand, even if I'm in the seated area, I tend to stand for most sets because I just want to be in it. I want to feel it. I want to move. I don't want to disconnect because I can easily like let my mind wander. And then I feel like, wait, what did I even pay for if I'm not fully immersed in this and feeling it? So for this set, I did sit for most of it with my sister. Most people are seated and just tried to enjoy it in that way. So it did feel a little disconnected, less energy than what I've experienced in the past with Dashboard because of the environment, not the band. The band did incredible. So they put out like right on time, they lifted what do you call it? I guess the screen, the paper behind them, the curtain. And it was a really cool, like kind of combining of different kind of artwork that they've used in albums. It's a Dashboard Confessional. They all kind of came out and they went straight into the Best Deceptions, which is from that MTV Unplugged Swiss Army Romance set. So started with the throwback, which was really cool to see. And throughout the entire set, they did kind of intermix some of the old with some of the new and didn't necessarily like introduce all songs. Like a few songs he kind of introduced or talked about, but most songs it was just kind of like a flow into some of the newer music and some of the older music. So I don't remember every single song that was played because again, I was in it. I wasn't trying to take notes on it all or anything. And some of the songs I wasn't as familiar with, again, which might have led to some of that disconnect of like just singing and screaming all the lyrics to every song. There were some songs I just didn't quite know as much. And so there was some interjection there, but it is expected. This is their opener or they were the opener. And even if they were headlining, they would have incorporated the newer music too, to showcase like the range of styles that they've covered. And their newer stuff is very relevant. Their newer album, like their newest album that was released was 2022. There's been some singles and collaborations and things as well. But from that album, they played Burning Heart and Here's to Moving On that I know of. I don't think that they played any others from that album. And again, the set was an hour, so they played a decent amount of songs, which is great. So started with The Best Deceptions. Can't remember what came after that, but I know they played Burning Heart, Here's to Moving On. They also played Stolen, of course. That is one that they did introduce, because they he like did a little thing of like, I was under a bridge in Brooklyn and I kissed this girl from Nashville, Tennessee, and wrote this song. So it was cute, but that one was good. They played Don't Wait, which is also great. For Vindicated, like that was my intro to Dashboard. It was also one of the only songs my sister knew of theirs, because of how popular it was, how much it was on the radio, the Spider-Man, connection, all of that. For Vindicated, he actually brought out his son. So Chris Krabba, singer Dashboard, who Dashboard is, he lives in Nashville as well, or in the Nashville area. His family's here. So during one song, I think it was the first song, or maybe the second, or maybe in between, but he said, it's really special to be here. I'm looking out, I see my daughter, like that's such a special thing to have, being a hometown show. And then during Vindicated, his son actually came out and played drums for that song. And so he introduced the song by bringing out his son, and his son's name is Caden. And so he made the joke that usually it's Vindicated, but when my son joins me, it's Vindicated, and which was cute. His son's a teenager, but Chris Krabba is the most adorable and highly attractive man, period, but also within the emo alternative space, like the most beautiful man inside and out that we have. And he is highly corny. And so he interjected that, it was cute. And so his son came out and played Vindicated with him. That was cool, and fun. The energy itself, again, wasn't as high as I wanted it to be, but I think it was more the crowd and the whole opener versus headliner kind of thing. And so they finished Vindicated. His son hugged him, went off the stage, and they went on about their set, and the rest of it. But that was pretty cute. They did play Belle of the Boulevard. Oh, actually, no, they didn't. I'm now questioning myself because I think that's the one that I wanted them to play because I love that one. But I actually don't think that he played that one, now that I'm thinking about it. But I could be wrong. So correct me if you were at the show or you've been to the same tour and you've seen the set. And I'm not just going to Google the set list because I'm trying to give a pretty honest recap of my experience, which is what we're here for. And so maybe not, but I do love that song. From their 2018 album, they did play Heartbeat Here. I do remember that. One I wish that they would have played was We Fight. I forgot how much I like that song. And it's a popular one, but I guess Heartbeat Here beats it out. But that was one that I wish that they would have played because I do really like that one, and it's high energy, it's fun. And so that one would have been cool, but oh well, we didn't get that one, unfortunately. So that's unfortunate, but whatever. Would they also played, so one thing he also mentioned, I think it was after, let me think about this a little bit more. Maybe like the third or fourth song or something, they played some of their newer songs. And he did make a statement where he said, now, I did listen to your feedback, and from our last tour or last set or something, he said, people wanted more from MTV Unplugged. So I will give you one more song. So he started with MTV Unplugged with The Best Deceptions, but he also did come back to Screaming Infidelities. And so we did get that as well as Hands Down, which was not from that era, but also their biggest song that they have. One thing I can't remember from my videos that I took, because I thought I took some videos to give myself good memory of like all the exact things that happened in the set. Via my videos, Screaming Infidelities is last, but Hands Down makes more sense as last. So maybe I just didn't get a video of Hands Down, or it was earlier and Hands Down was before Screaming Infidelities. It doesn't really matter, but they both were played, and so they both were part of it. There are probably a few that I have missed, because again, there were a few songs I didn't know as well, and there were some that were like older, and he mentioned like a few that were a lot older, and so there were probably some thrown in there that I just wasn't as familiar with that other people would know. But overall, I love that they gave him an hour, because it did feel like a decent set, and we got to see a little bit from kind of every era of Dashboard and like all the different albums, which was really special. I think overall the set list was well curated to showcase all of those different periods of time, not just the old stuff, not just the new stuff, but a bit of a variety, and not just hits, but like a little bit thrown in there that maybe like fans would know more than like generally someone would know, which is cool. When it came to the merch and the rest of the experience, I was kind of hopeful that maybe Dashboard would have some cool merch. And like I went into it knowing I probably wasn't going to buy anything just because like I'm trying to be more picky about the things I buy. And we're going to a few tours this year that I know I want to buy like merch for. So it's like I don't really want to just overspend money on anything. But I was kind of hopeful that maybe there'd be something cool because I think Dashboard has a cool style to their artwork and some of their stuff, and they've been around, they're still relevant, right? So they're still making music. And so it's like, oh, maybe there would be some kind of evolved cool thing that they have at their merch table. As an opener, it's always tricky. They only had like a couple of shirts, not really anything that I wanted. I'm pretty picky about wanting a front graphic versus like a little side graphic with like a back graphic. So they had a cool one that had like a little skeleton kind of hang ten, but wasn't really my style based on where the graphic was. They had another one that was kind of cool. It was like a female cowboy kind of thing, like a hat. But it was just a little weird and like very Western type colors, which is not really my style. But overall, I felt like the merch was kind of lacking, unfortunately. But they had a table outside of the venue and inside the venue, so plenty of options. Goo Goo Dolls had some interesting merch, which was cool. The Goo Goo Dolls set was a lot of fun. They have so many kind of iconic songs from the late 90s into the early 2000s, and they sounded great. Their energy was also a little lower. I think this is just true of outdoor venues. Their energy was a little lower than I expected it to be based on just listening to the music. Might be that they're older as well, but overall, it was a lot of fun. And people were definitely way more into that set. So for that set, we did stand for a decent amount of it. People were singing along, like dancing, like really into it compared to Dashboard. So just, I think, further highlighted that the majority of the crowd was there for Goo Goo Dolls, not for Dashboard, which as more of a Dashboard fan, it was kind of sad, but it's the reality of it, and that's okay. I do think overall, even though like Dashboard is kind of this classic emo band, like the way that they evolved over time blended really well with the style of like Goo Goo Dolls. And so I felt like they were actually well matched, even if I would have preferred more bands that I liked more, right? Or Dashboard headlining with someone opening for them. Like, I still think it was actually a decent pairing, which was good. And again, provide a little something for everybody, kind of more of a family friendly show, all that stuff that people probably care about, may be interested in. So that was most of my experience. I don't really have a lot else to share about it. Dashboard's so unproblematic that there's just not like a lot of drama involved. And Chris Carrabba looked amazing, had a cool outfit on, very typical, no mishaps. Everything just went as according to plan, and it was pleasant. So if you're looking for a show to just relax, maybe take a friend that is also a fan so that you have someone to sing along with, it's a good show. It was definitely worth it. And I'm glad that I was able to go and look forward to seeing them again. I hope he does a headlining tour at some point again. I'd love to see him here in Nashville, like the Ryman or a different venue than just an outdoor venue. I think like more of an intimate indoor venue would be more fun. The outdoor venue's fine, and he sounds great. His voice, like hitting the high notes, holding the notes, like his voice is still incredible. He had a bit of a raspiness to his voice this time, I think maybe from the tour so far. And it's also crazy hot. And so dealing probably with the heat and all the environmental stuff of that probably involved. But overall, I think a different venue next time I see him would be nice because I've only seen him outside. And I'd love to see like an indoor kind of intimate type of experience where like everyone's there for his music, and a lot more of those like deep cuts would be a lot of fun. If I'm prepping for the next tour and show, I will probably dip into the newer albums a bit more. I didn't necessarily fully prepare for this show out of all the other shows that I have going on this summer. And I kind of regretted it. So I was like, I want to know more of the songs. Like that's part of going to live music or live shows that I really care about, is like getting to know the lyrics and join in and like the full experience of it. I don't really like to just watch someone perform. I like to be part of it. That's something that I really value, and like what I'm trying to pay for with my experiences. And so I do wish I would have done that more. So next time, that is the approach that I will take. And if you go to see them, the same tour, or you have a favorite memory, like please share it. You review, or if you're watching this on YouTube, you can share in the comments. And then if you, as always, if you want to come on and share some things, we've got some really fun shows coming up. Going to dig into the history of some of these pop punk bands. We're going to go deep into My Chemical Romance as we prepare for that tour, which is coming in a few weeks for me. It's already started and very cool and very exciting. And so there's a lot to share there, which I'm excited about. And then we'll be getting into some other shows and other deep dives into bands. So a lot going on. But if you have something that you want to share and you want to come on, like show notes, find my email me. Love to have you on for some of our episodes as we move forward throughout the year. I hope you enjoyed this short and sweet episode, and I'll see you in our next class.